What happens when a quiet man saves a drowning bear, and the government treats him like a criminal? The townspeople turn against him. But what the forest did next left even the rangers speechless. You ever roll out of bed, stretch your back with a groan that sounds like someone stepping on a bag of popcorn and think, let's just get through this day without any disasters? Well, I did. And life said, how about no? Name's Chris Ellison. I'm 52, still got my hair, divorced long enough to forget why I got married in the first place, and live in a crooked old cabin up near Valdez, Alaska. It smells like cedar and solitude. My only neighbors are snowdrifts and a fox I call Dennis, who steals my socks every spring. I'm not the hero type. I fix boat engines, complain about gas prices, and keep to myself. My idea of excitement is finding expired jerky in the pantry and eating it anyway. But that morning, something felt off. The air was sharp, too quiet. Then I heard it. At first, I thought it was a log breaking under river ice, but it didn't stop. It wailed, snapped, splashed, the kind of noise that crawls down your spine. So against every lazy instinct in my body, I pulled on my boots, grabbed my radio, and headed for the sound like some retired action hero in flannel. Down the ridge near the old hydro dam, the river was swollen and mean. Ice floes churned like shattered glass, and there, thrashing like a toddler in a pool, was a bear cub. Young, not tiny, but not full-grown either. Wet fur plastered to its ribs, eyes wide like headlights. That thing was fighting for its life. Now, common sense would have said, don't get involved. This is nature. Nature eats its weak. Walk away. But my gut? My gut said, not today. So I kicked off my boots and waded in. Let me be very clear. That water was not just cold. It was like being punched by winter itself. My lungs locked up, my fingers stopped being fingers. I couldn't feel anything but the weight of panic and current. But I kept swimming, slicing toward the cub as the river tried to slap me 6 ways from Sunday. Got to him. Wrapped an arm around his chest, just like I'd pull a kid out of a pool. He thrashed, claws flailing. One swipe nicked my cheek, and I remember thinking, this is exactly how dumb people end up in the news. But I didn't let go. I kicked, he kicked, we sank. I hauled him up. By some miracle, or pure Alaskan stubbornness, we crawled onto the muddy shoreline, heaving like 2 oversized fish dumped by fate. I collapsed face first into the gravel, ears ringing, vision tunneling. Then I heard it. A low growl. I turned my head and saw her, the mother. Let me tell you something. If you've never been face to face with a full-grown brown bear, especially one whose kid you just wrestled out of a freezing river, congratulations. You've lived a smarter life than me. She stepped out from the trees like a storm on legs, muscles like ropes, eyes like thunderclouds. I was unarmed, soaked, shivering, and lying flat on my back. Which, by the way, is not the recommended posture when dealing with a large predator. My heart did the cha-cha, and I remember whispering, well, this is a weird way to go. But then she stopped, sniffed the air. Her kid whined behind me. She let out a sound I still hear sometimes in dreams, not angry, not soft, just knowing. She didn't attack. She didn't run. She looked at me like I was some kind of broken animal she didn't know what to do with. Then she turned, walked back into the forest. Her cub followed, limping, wet, alive. I sat there, soaked to the bone, hands shaking, feeling more alive than I had in years, and also like I'd aged 10 of them in 20 minutes. I didn't know what I'd just become part of, but I knew this. I'd stepped into something bigger than me, and Alaska wasn't done with me yet. What happened next changed everything. You don't want to miss how this spiraled into something way bigger than saving a bear. So here I am, still half-soaked 2 days after pulling a bear cub out of an icy death trap. nursing a sore shoulder and a scratch down my cheek that looks like I tried to shave with a chainsaw. You'd think this would earn me a few points with the universe. Maybe a pat on the back from karma. Nope. Turns out Alaska's got a funny way of rewarding good deeds, like painting a target on your back and handing out free darts. It started when I walked into town for supplies. I don't usually go unless I need fuel, salt, or canned chili. Small towns, you know. Gossip travels faster than snow in a wind tunnel. But this time, the moment I stepped into Chet's general store, I felt the stares. Not the friendly, hey, how you been kind. Number. This was the, what the heck did you do kind. I hadn't told a soul about the bear, but apparently someone else had, or maybe someone saw something. Chet leaned across the counter with a look like he'd just eaten expired mayonnaise. You really messing around with wild bears, Chris? I blinked. Excuse me? He jerked his chin toward the paper tacked near the register, a faded wildlife warning from the Department of Fish and Game. Someone had scribbled across it in red marker, "Do not approach bears. Report all sightings." Underneath, someone added, "Local man encouraging dangerous animal contact?" And just like that, the town had turned me into a walking liability. I laughed, out loud. I didn't encourage anything. The cub was drowning. I pulled him out. What was I supposed to do? Hand him a floaty and walk away? Chet didn't laugh. Rules are rules, man. You're not licensed. You shouldn't interfere. They remember faces. Oh, good. So now I'm not just the guy who saved a cub. I'm the reckless menace who's apparently on a personal quest to train bears like circus acts. By that afternoon, 2 wardens showed up at my cabin. Big truck, serious boots, expressions carved from stone. The younger one had the kind of energy that makes you nervous even if you've done nothing wrong. The older one, Ellis, looked tired, not physically, but like he'd seen too much dumb behavior and added me to the pile. You interact with a bear recently? He asked, arms crossed. I raised my hands. Not by choice. He didn't smile. We got reports. Unconfirmed. A resident saw a large female near the dam. Cub trailing her. Same area where you were seen. Well, I said, it is a forest. Bears live here. Shocking, I know. They didn't laugh either. This town really needed a better sense of humor. You feed it? The younger one asked. Touch it? Lure it? What kind of idiot do you think I am? They exchanged a glance that said, we've seen worse. I explained the whole thing. The river, the ice, the cub drowning, the mother watching, the no-mauling miracle that followed. Ellis sighed through his nose, scratched something in a pad, then stared at me for a long time. You're lucky, he said. Next time, don't play wildlife hero. Let nature do what it does. And let the cub drown? He nodded. Yes. Now let me pause here. I get it. There are laws, protocols, liability this, ecosystem that. But something about being told to let a living thing die just because I didn't have a badge rubbed me raw. It wasn't about ego. It was about decency. You don't stand by when something's in trouble. You act. That's what I did. And somehow, that made me the problem. That night I sat on the porch, drinking lukewarm tea, watching the trees. My dog, Tucker, half husky, half mystery, lay at my feet, ears twitching. The wind picked up. Something moved at the tree line, not fast, not threatening. And then I saw them, 2 dark shapes, low to the ground, watching. I stood, heart steady, not scared, just alert. They didn't move, and I didn't either. This is the turning point. Everything's about to change. Stick around. You'll want to see how it all explodes from here. I didn't sleep much after that night on the porch. Call it instinct, call it old bones that knew something was coming. But when you've been stared down by a bear and then warned by the state to mind your own business, your sense of calm tends to wander off and never come back. By morning, the prints in the dirt were clear. Adult and juvenile bear tracks. No aggression, no mess. Just presence. Like they came to check in. Like they remembered me. I wish I could tell you I let it go. I didn't. I drove to town again, mostly for dog food and diesel, but partly because my cabin had started to feel like a bullseye. And guess what? Word had spread faster than wildfire in a dry season. Apparently, I was now the bear guy. Half the town saw me as reckless. The other half saw me as some backwoods snow whisperer with a death wish. At the hardware store, I overheard some genius in a camo cap mutter, "Next thing you know, he'll be teaching 'em to use a chainsaw." Real original. But here's the thing. While everyone was busy cracking jokes, something real was happening in those woods. That night, it snowed early. A dry, bitter fall that coated everything in silence. Tucker started barking around 3 a.m., not frantic. Low. Focused. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out, half expecting to find a moose tearing up my woodpile again. But it wasn't a moose. It was her, the mother bear, standing just beyond the edge of the trees. The cub was beside her, bigger now, healthier, alive. And between us, maybe 15 feet of snow-covered ground. Let me be clear. I didn't move, didn't speak. Every survival guide I ever half read told me to back away slowly and not make eye contact. But I didn't follow the guidebook that night. I crouched down, same way I did with scared dogs on docks back in my fishing days. Slow, calm, honest. And she came closer. No charge, no growl, just steps, steady and deliberate. The cub sniffed the air, then, I swear on everything I own, came right up to the porch and sat down like he belonged there. My heart thudded in my chest like a hammer in a washing machine. I glanced at the mother. She just watched, breathing slow, no fear, no tension. And then she did the wildest thing I've ever seen. She lay down, right there, in the snow, not asleep. Just with us. As if to say, "You're not a threat. You're not prey. You're one of us now." I didn't earn that moment. I didn't ask for it, but it happened. Nature doesn't give out trophies. It gives out trust. And trust like that, it doesn't come easy. They stayed for maybe 20 minutes, long enough to burn the image into my memory forever. Then, just as quietly as they arrived, they turned and disappeared into the trees like ghosts with warm breath. I sat there in the dark, Tucker at my feet, snow soaking through my jeans, completely stunned. The next day I got a call, not from the state, not from a neighbor, from a wildlife researcher who'd been tracking unusual bear movement near the area. She'd heard stories, one about a man who didn't back down, who broke protocol, who acted. I told her everything, no embellishment, no drama, just facts. She didn't laugh. She didn't scold. She asked if I'd help her observe the group, from a distance, with care, with respect. Not to tame them, just to understand. So yeah, I saved a bear once, and maybe, just maybe, a bear saved something in me too. Thanks for staying through the whole ride. If you felt something shift along the way, that means you're human, and that still counts for something.